What is up, y'all? Daredevil Born Again Season 1 had a lot of high highs, but it also had a lot of low lows. So if you have not been following along with my review series, I have reviewed every single Born Again episode from Season 1. You can find those on our channel and give you my in-depth thoughts on each and every episode. And now I feel like it's time to really just kind of take it all in. The finale aired last week. I've taken the last week to kind of think about the season as a whole. And while I do think that as entertainment value, I do believe that this is probably more entertaining than season 2 of the Netflix series. Now, is it a better story? Are there better characters? No. I do think, regardless of the fact that of how much I do dislike season 2 of Daredevil from Netflix, it's mainly the Hand. I do like a lot of the stuff with Elektra, but the Hand storyline is just abysmal to me. I really do hate that storyline. And I think that is kind of what puts this over it just a little bit. And regardless of what I am saying about season 2 versus Born Again, I will say this about season 2. That story is better told over the course of 13 episodes versus Born Again doing it over the course of 9 episodes. I think they just did a much better job with the characters in season 2 versus what they've done here. But I will say this story might suck. It might not be cohesive. It might be all over the place. And it definitely feels like there are two different sets of people making this show over the course of those 9 episodes. And you can really see the difference in how the story unfolds, especially with like the pilot and then the back few episodes are completely different aesthetic, feel, vibes than the middle portion of the season. But this season wasn't boring by any means. Like I did enjoy each and every episode. It's really the story and the characters that really prevent this from ever taking off and being a truly great season of television. And I probably won't be saying anything differently in this review than a majority of the fans out there of Daredevil. We'll start off with the characters because I do feel like that is the one glaring issue with this season versus the first 3 seasons on Netflix. The side characters are trash. Just about all of them. I don't know of a side character in the show that has been introduced in Born Again that I'm just over the hill for. Like, I'm not excited really about any of these characters and where they're going from this point because they didn't do any of the legwork in this season to make us care for those characters. None of them are compelling whatsoever. Heather Glenn, who is the girlfriend of Matt, probably ex-girlfriend at this point, she's probably the most interesting out of the bunch, but we don't get enough time with her. And I do believe, and I will give them credit for this, they do spend a little bit more time with her in probably the last 2 or 3 episodes. Whenever Muse shows up, that's really when we start getting to know Heather Glenn a little bit more. Her and her relationship with Matt. Like, I feel like there was a lot of potential for her character, but again, they didn't do anything with her in the first 5, 6, 7 episodes. So they were doing this thing where it felt like they were playing catch up with the last couple episodes. And I didn't care for it all that much. And it was too little too late. Now, does that mean they won't come back in season 2 and kind of fix everything, kind of improve on the characters? No, that's not what that means. But if we're looking at season 1 as a whole, she's right there in the mix of things where she just pales in comparison to Karen. And that kind of leads me into my next point, that I get it. They wanted to go in a different direction and then they started making the show and then they were like, hey, let's go in a completely different direction again. And they cut out Karen and Foggy, and that is just a conflict of ideas. They don't know what they wanted to do. They have the second set of people come in and revamp the show. I don't see how you have these 2 characters, Foggy, Karen, and then you have all the other slew of side characters. You have his mom, you have Detective Mahoney, you have some really great side characters. Why on earth would you just throw all that away and start over with the 2 main leads who have built these relationships, this chemistry with those other actors, and you've already done the legwork with the first 3 seasons of the Netflix series, so why not just continue that? And like, I'll use Detective Kim as an example. Like, you have another police officer that we have gotten used to, that we've known through 3 seasons, that everyone generally loves. Why not bring him back? And then we have Matt's mother from season 3. Season 3 is going to be up there as one of the best seasons of television, not just superheroes, of all time. Like 100%. If it wasn't for like the first couple episodes where they're trying to catch you up on the Defenders, I think that is legitimately a top 10 season all time in television. But that season happens and we never see his mother again. He never mentions her in this season, never talks about her. She never shows up, nothing. And for such a pivotal character to season 3, and for us to find out that his mom is alive the entire time, for her not to show up at Matt's darkest time when Foggy has been murdered, I think is absolutely crazy to me. Like, the storytelling choices here are just absolutely atrocious. I don't understand their mindset with going from season 3 to this one, revamping everything. It's kind of like they wanted their cake and to eat it too, kind of thing. They wanted a new Daredevil series, but they knew the fans wanted the OG cast. The fans wanted Charlie Cox back. They wanted Vincent D'Onofrio back as the 2 leads. And yeah, we got that, but I guess we had to sacrifice the other side characters in the process. I don't understand the mindset there to completely change everything. If you're going to bring back the 2 leads, you might as well bring back everyone. And I know they're in this weird spot where you can watch this season of Born Again and not have to watch anything with the Netflix series. I absolutely get that. You don't want to alienate fans by having to make them watch 3 previous seasons of content in order to watch your brand new show. I understand that. What was the point of bringing back the 2 leads if you're not going to bring back the side characters? Use those storylines from the first 3 seasons to really flesh out this new world that you want. What's the point of that if you're just going to go a completely different direction? So I just think from the get, this was a terrible decision. They didn't know what they wanted with the brand new series, and it kind of came across that with those 9 episodes. It just felt a little disjointed, which goes to the story. The story is not that good. It's not that good at all. It's entertaining for 9 episodes. And I think if they would have stretched this out to maybe 13 episodes and fleshed out the Muse storyline a little bit more, I think this would be a little bit higher of a score for me when it's all said and done. But the Muse storyline here is one of the worst things that Marvel has ever done, for sure. Like, to have a character that could be just potential now, could be a truly horrifying character, truly terrifying character over the course of 1 season. For them to have that and to squash it and bring him in for 2 fucking episodes. I'm not counting the little cameo moments that he has in the end of, I think there's like 2 episodes where he kind of shows his face. I'm not counting that, okay? That doesn't fucking count. The 2 episodes that he is prominently in, that is the Muse storyline to me. And that was just absolutely abysmal. I don't understand the choice there. Like, was that with the new team that said, okay, well, we already have this stuff with Muse. Let's just go ahead and wrap it up in 2 episodes and kind of move on. Muse gets teased a little bit early on, and then he gets brought in for 2 episodes, and they just cut the storyline right there. Why did we bring him in? Why didn't we just make it a different character altogether? So I'm intrigued where this storyline is going to go, but why the hell would you bring in Muse in the middle of that if you're not going to give him an actual arc, if you're not going to make it something that affects Matt in a deep and profound way? Like, I think if you cut out the Muse storyline, nothing really ever changes in this season. I know the Heather Glenn stuff gets kind of amped up with the Muse storyline, so that probably would have some issues. But look, they could change the story a little bit with Heather Glenn. But as far as the main character of the show, Daredevil, nothing really affects him from this encounter with Muse. Heather Glenn shoots him, kills him, and then the very next episode, Matt's trying to comfort her, and all he says is, yeah, I mean, you had to, okay? There was no other choice. He would have killed you if you didn't kill him, kind of thing. Self-defense. And that's legitimately it. And then Matt just falls into this, I don't want to say abyss, but he falls into this typical pattern that he does, that when Kingpin starts gaining traction, that's all that Matt can focus on and just leaves Heather in the dust. So first off, Matt's kind of a douchebag for not really comforting his girlfriend at the time. It kind of turns into, hey, these are my problems. Let's focus on my problems, not your problems. So the Muse storyline is going to be up there with the 5 worst decisions Marvel has ever made, and they've made some terrible fucking decisions over the years. Let's be honest here. But the Muse storyline is just wasted potential to me. And then you have this. Again, you have this separating of the seasons. You have the first episode, which is completely different than 2 through what? 7? 7, 8, 9 are probably from the different team, or they're closer to what the new team was doing. And the middle of the season is just completely different than what we got on the front end and the back end. And that brings up the White Tiger storyline as well. Now, as far as the White Tiger storyline goes, it lasted a couple episodes, but they brought in his niece, Angela Del Toro, and they gave us a little bit of a tease with her. It was like they threw her in the mix like we were supposed to know who she was, and they brought her in for an episode with Muse, which got Daredevil back into the game, and then we never see her again. We never mention her again, nothing. So to me, another wasted storyline that didn't really go anywhere. And yeah, I guess you could say that this brought Matt back to the game as Daredevil, let him don the cowl once again, but you legitimately could have done anything else with another character. You could have actually swapped the Heather Glenn stuff and put it there, and that been the reason why Matt became Daredevil once again. And I think that would have been a more compelling reason. I mean, his girlfriend is being attacked by this crazy psychopath. Let me become Daredevil again. That just makes more sense to me than bringing in this other character and having that storyline really go nowhere. Now, the one last real criticism that I have with the show is the ending. And then I'll kind of mention some things that I really enjoyed about the season, which I've really just been shitting on it for this whole runtime so far. The season finale is one of the most, like, I've had a week to kind of digest it, and I liked it, but I felt kind of weird because there was a lot of people that I was talking to that said they loved it, and I felt weird about it. And then I started watching some videos and some TikTok creators and shit like that, and they were all talking shit about how this episode and season ended. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm not alone in this. I'm not just going to be raging over something. I'm not going to be hypercritical of this episode and the season. You know, there's other people out there that kind of feel the same way about it. And I really despise the fact that he is now going to have a team up. That's how season 1 ends. We need an army. I'm so tired of team ups up to this point. We have the Avengers, okay? Like I get that. That's my team up fix. The team that I think of when I have Daredevil showing up and in the mix of things is the Defenders. And I fucking hate the Defenders. I hated that season on Netflix. Yeah, some of the characters are good, but the storyline sucked. I'm not overly interested in a repeat of the Defenders. Now, there's some people out there that think that maybe they're going to bring in some new characters, maybe not necessarily the Defenders themselves. And I mean, that's fine, but I seriously doubt that. I don't think we're getting a Moon Knight. I seriously don't think we're getting Spider-Man. And I really just think they're going to bring in the Defenders for this. And I'm going to be so damn disappointed. But the fact is that we have Matt versus Kingpin, and he has to have help in order to take him down. Like, bro, like that's how we end the season. We bring Bullseye into the mix with the penultimate episode. He doesn't show up at all in the season finale. So again, we go back to the storytelling here, which is just all over the place. It's not a consistent storyline throughout the entire season. And his last thing that he does is, I want to build a team. I was just really disappointed in the fact that he wants to team up with a bunch of people. And this storyline of the city versus Kingpin, it's just, like, we've gotten it before. You know, Dark Knight Rises, Batman in the city of Gotham versus Bane. The storyline here just doesn't seem as interesting as it could have been. But I will say this. Initially, I was kind of bamboozled by the fact that the season kind of just ended like that. I was like, wow, there's no real closure of any of this. And now they're just going to tell this story over 2 seasons. Why didn't you just tell it over 13 episodes? Like, you could have just made it 1 season. I don't know if 2 seasons worth of what, 15, 16 episodes, wherever it's going to end up being, is that the best storytelling choice there? I don't think so. I think they could have told the story over one, cut out some of the fucking bullshit, the fluff in the season, and really focused on this storyline, then sure. But I don't see any reason why this couldn't have been wrapped up in 1 season if they would have just did better storytelling. But let's talk a few things about what I did. I did enjoy this season. Okay. I know I'm talking a lot of shit, but I did enjoy season 1, and I had fun watching episodes every single week. Now, the action sequences, which we didn't get a ton of those throughout the season, but when we did, they were fucking good. I think the one take scene in episode 1 between Bullseye and Daredevil, really fucking good. Really good. Now, I've seen the behind the scenes of that one take fight where it doesn't have any CGI in it. It's just them two fighting. And to me, it's like what y'all did with that scene in post production made it look pretty awful. So I would have preferred the minimalistic aspect to it where you don't have all that CGI in it. And that is the biggest problem with that scene in general. The CGI doubles of those characters. It just makes it kind of cartoony. Look, Netflix did it with good choreography in season 3. I think they could have continued that with this. You didn't need CGI. But with that being said, I still think it's a really cool one take scene. It's not nearly as good as anything that happens in the Netflix series, especially season 3 of Daredevil, the prison one take scene, which is like top moments in Marvel, top moments in television, period. And while I did enjoy that moment, and the moment that he hears Foggy's heartbeat stop and he pushes him over the ledge, I was jaw dropped. I was like, damn, bro, what a fucking way to start season 1. And I thought that was a great moment. If you want to kill off a character, I thought that was the fucking way to do it. But your storytelling kind of sucked throughout the entire season, and Matt never really dealt with the consequences or ramifications of his best friend dying. And not only that, he doesn't ever deal with the fact that he pushes Bullseye off of a ledge and hoped that he would kill him. He mentions to Karen, I think later on in the season, in the finale, that he wishes he would have, like, he tried to kill him, but it was just a matter of luck that he didn't die during that fall. So we never really get the ramifications or him dealing with Foggy or him trying to kill somebody. We never get that. So again, goes back to the bad storytelling. But the fight itself was really good. The moment itself, really great if you watch it back to back with season 3. I think it works very well. It's just they didn't do a great job after that to me. But the other fight sequences in the show, the one where he's in the apartment fighting the cops, so damn good. So violent. And that was one of the things that everybody was worried about was, is Disney going to dumb down the violence and bring it closer to PG-13? And they didn't. So I really appreciate the fact that they actually kind of amped up the violence a little bit in this series, and some really gruesome shit happened. I mean, we have the skull crush from Kingpin, which I was like, God damn. The fucking leg break in the alleyway with Daredevil versus the guy that robbed the bank. And then you have him, like, it sounded like he broke the cop's neck, which again, we get a little bit of a tease of him and that detective for a few episodes. And those are some really, really great scenes. And he kind of sputters out towards the end of the season. I wish they would have kept bringing him back, because there was some really good tension between that detective and Matt that, yeah, like that shit was really good. The episode where Matt is in the bank, the Irish are robbing the bank. It was a cool bottle episode. It was a cool little deviation from the story that I don't necessarily mind if they would have surrounded it with good storytelling. The problem with that episode is the fact that it feels tonally different than anything else in the series. And that is my biggest problem with it. As an episode as a whole, if you were just trying to take that as a kind of like a one-shot adventure, side quest, or maybe even a one-off comic or whatever, then it worked for me. I thought the chemistry between him and Miss Marvel's dad was really great. And the addition of him was great in that episode. Like a really good episode of television. It just makes it a little jarring when you're watching the season as a whole and then you see this episode and you're like, wait, that was totally different from anything that we watched from the Netflix series and up through this season as well. And I will say this, there were some dramatic moments in the season, and that goes back to my point that there are some really high highs here. We got the violence, we got the Matt and Kingpin stuff, them going against each other, them being at odds in a way that like they're trying not to be who they are as people. Like Wilson is doing his best to not be Kingpin. Matt is doing his best to not be Daredevil. And they're on these opposite sides of the spectrum and they keep getting closer and closer throughout the season to who they truly are, and then they just become their counterparts. The season just kind of slowly builds to them doing that, and I think when they swap at the same time, that was really great. We can kind of see a flip of a switch with Matt becoming Daredevil again. We have Fisk becoming Kingpin again, and then it even goes even further where he is now like Mayor fucking Kingpin, and I thought those moments were really great. The bullseye stuff where he shoots or he tries to shoot Kingpin and ends up shooting Matt, like truly a great cliffhanger of an episode. It's just they didn't do anything with it in the season finale to really justify how great of an episode that was. And despite the Muse storyline kind of being lackluster and poorly written, I think those two episodes with him are really fucking good. When Matt dons the cowl again, goes and fights Muse, like that whole fight is really great. It's tense. And then the one with Heather Glenn in the her office, that was a good fight. The editing was not that great, but the fight itself was pretty good. Like all those moments were just ripe with tension, and those are some of the higher moments of the season. And yeah, it's watchable, it's entertaining from beginning to end, but ultimately it just has a lot of low lows to me. I'm gonna end up giving this probably, I'm gonna give it like a 7.1 out of 10. I think it's good. It's not great. I like it a little bit more than season 2 of Daredevil. The only thing that really saves season 2 of the Netflix Daredevil are the side characters. And that's really what they sucked at with Born Again. Lots and lots of issues through it that I hope they fix in season 2. But hey, with the new team, I liked those episodes more so than the ones from the old team. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of faith. So we shall see if they shit the bed or not. But guys, let me know down below what you thought about Daredevil Born Again season 1. Did it meet your expectations? What'd you feel about the side characters? Give me your score. Let me know down in the comments below. Hit that like, subscribe button. Really helps us out. And that's going to be it for me, guys. And I'll catch y'all next time on another episode. Laters.